speaking on Eretz Yisrael, to do Batsheva Sunday, to be followed by reflections from Amanda Drazen and Ronnie Horowitz.
Honored rabbis, teachers, fellow classmates, and friends, I am a real wandering Jew. I was born in South Africa, and thank God was too young to remember the freezing cold of Canada during my first 3 years of life. My earliest memories are those of growing up in Israel, first in Ranana and then in Efrat. I remember that every morning my sister Michal and I would walk to school. We would first stop off at the small makolet on our street and buy 2 gumballs with the Israeli flag on them and charge them to my dad's account. Luckily for him, there was no Nordstroms in Efrat. I would drop her off at Ghana and then continue to walk to school. I was 6 at the time and Michal was 4. And we walked by ourselves. We lived there during the time of the Second Intifada, when bombs were going off and everyone was advised to wear bulletproof vests and helmets when traveling out of town by car. And yet, I walked to school by myself every day. Israel is that kind of place, a place of paradox, the ancient and the modern, at war yet so technologically advanced, a frenetic pace yet spiritually tranquil. The Israel we hear about in the media is different than the one we experience. Students at JCRC presentations always ask me if I ever feel unsafe when I visit Israel, and truthfully, the answer is, I am never afraid. Israel is a unique and amazing place. It is the one place that I call home. I'm glad to say that I'm returning home after 11 years in St. Louis to join my grandparents, uncles, aunts, and cousins. I plan to make Aliyah and do a year of Sherut Leumi after my year in Midrashet Haroga. My love for Israel has always been a part of my life. This love was planted by my parents, but Block Yeshiva has allowed it to grow. The school has encouraged me to learn about Israel and its history. They also helped me grow my Zionism and my love for Israel. Thank you to Block Yeshiva High School for creating an inspiring and warm environment with positive Israel engagement. In addition, I would like to thank the Sherut Leumi girls and the Israeli Shlichim for deeply connecting me to Israel and its people. The importance of Israel as a place of the Jewish people is highlighted by the story that Rabbi Riskin tells at the end of his biography, Listening to God. There was a surgeon family called the Schwartz family that he knew in America, and the father was a Holocaust survivor who had lost all of his family to the Shoah. He remarried and had 2 kids. They then made Aliyah in 1964. Their oldest son was killed in the 6-Day War, and their second son was killed in the Yom Kippur War. Rabbi Riskin was on the plane to Israel in 1973 during the Yom Kippur War. When he read the obituary about the son, he realized that he knew the family and that he had to pay a Shiva call. He walked into the house, but he didn't say anything. He just sat down for a while. He got up to leave and started to say, Hamakom Yinachem Etchem. The father then turned to Rabbi Riskin and says, Rabbi, you just said, Hamakom Yinachem Etchem. What does that mean? Why do we use that name of God at this stage of human cycle? I'll tell you why. I now understand it for the first time in my life. When my family was destroyed in the Holocaust, there was no comfort in me. It was so senseless. But now that I have lost my 2 boys, I am sad, but I am comforted. At least this time, my sons died so other Jewish people could live. They died in defense of Israel, in defense of Yerushalayim, and in defense of the Jewish future. Hamakom, the place, Israel, Jerusalem, and the Jewish state. Hamakom menachemoti, this place comforts me. It is this place where the ancient Jewish homeland has sprung back to life that I hope to build my future and make my contribution to the state of Israel. Thank you.
Fearing that her husband, King David, might yield to fatherly compassion and thereby allow his upstart son Adoniyahu to usurp the monarchy, Batsheva, mother of the future King Solomon, presented herself before her husband and sovereign. Boldly but quietly, firmly but respectfully, she reminded David of his promise that Shlomo would rule and prodded him to take action to secure the future of the kingdom, thus ensuring the perpetuation of the Messianic line. Our own Batsheva Sunday similarly comports herself with a measured balance of quiet dignity and inner resolution, excelling academically as well as in every aspect of school life. Batsheva is an exceptional artist who planned the scenery for this year's musical. For those who didn't see it, you missed an extraordinary piece of art. But for me, it was her laid-back attitude when deadlines had to be met that showed me just how strong and determined she really is. As student body secretary, JCRC presenter, B'nai Akiva Madricha, Batsheva serves as a model of personal conduct and values. As basketball captain, as a member of the tennis and soccer teams, she shines as an example of competitiveness and sportsmanship, while demonstrating that athletic prowess at the highest level can be achieved even by a vegetarian. Batsheva has earned the Block distinction of a distinguished scholar, and she was also named the St. Louis Post-Dispatch Scholar Athlete of 2012. Next year, Batsheva will attend Harova, and because of her deep and meaningful relationship with Eretz Yisrael, which seems to be in her genes, she intends to make Aliyah, Sherut Limi, and Israeli universities. Mazal tov. Rachel.